Hello, Salam Alaikum. I'm Andri, and once again, warmly welcoming you all to my essential Sufi life design lectures. Today's lecture examines Mansūr al Hallāj as a comparative figure within the history of mysticism, a poet, a metaphysician, a revolutionary Sufi, and a martyr whose ideas challenged the boundaries of theology, ontology, and language. Hallaj's legacy is built on three main pillars. The first one, he was teaching and practicing and promoting a form of extreme Sufi mysticism, ontological poetry, verses that function as metaphysical declarations, and also his mystical truth spoken openly through his verses without esoteric protection is a sign of a radical public spirituality. So, in this lecture today, we shall be comparing Hallaj's Sufi ontology with classical Islamic theology, with Kalam, and also with orthodoxy of Quranic teachings and learning. His poetic language, most brilliant ones, with other Sufi masters. His life and death, with the broader history of mystical martyrdom and his revolutionary, highly profound ideas with modern philosophical categories. So let us go and deep within his life and the very context of his existence. We all know that Hallaj lived in Abbasid Baghdad, a city of intense theological conflicts, where Sufi orders were flourishing. Greek philosophical influences were in every corner, and political volatility. So unlike Junaid, who advocated sober Sufism, Hallaj practiced public ecstasy, a kind of a very deep and profound and extreme enthusiastic states of meditation contemplation. He practiced 40-day fasts and prolonged isolation. He wrote letters advocating social justice, angering political elites. He had followers among women, unusual for that time, but this is the fact that is a lesser known fact. So his imprisonment lasted 9 years of his life, during which he wrote some of his most intense and profound poetry that still resonates today. So let us start with his Sufi ideas, his primarily discourse on the ontology of union. Hallaj's Sufism is built on three metaphysical claims. First claim is ontological monism. There is only one true being, Al-Hallaj, which means the real one. All multiplicity is just an appearance. The second idea of this ontology of union is fanna, annihilation of self, where the ego dissolves completely and what remains is God's presence. The third Sufi idea in his teachings is theophanic speech. In states of union, God speaks through the mystic. God speaks through everything that he created. God speaks through nature. God speaks through creature. This leads to Hallaj's most controversial utterance, Ana al-Haq, which means I am the real one. I am the truth. In a comparative angle, for example, for Junaid, such utterances must be hidden and not spoken about. For Ibn al-Arabi, they are metaphysically valid but must be explained. For Mawlana, they are poetic symbols. But for Hallaj, they are literal ontological events. His poetry is not symbolic. It is a performative ontology we might say, where language enacts the union it describes. I am he whom I love, and he whom I love is me. Your light in me is my light. So, the lover and the beloved share one being. These are philosophical meanings and philosophical backgroundings of these quotes of Hallaj. Love is not relational. Love is fusion. The I is a veil that disappears. Poetry in this way. I am he whom I love, and he whom I love is me, and your light in me is my light becomes a pure and genuine metaphysics. These are lines in a pure Hallajist style. He said, I quote, "When I vanished, you appeared. When you appeared, I vanished again. My heart became transparent, and through it passed only your light." End of quote. So in a comparative angle, Mawlana uses metaphors, Hallaj uses identities, Muhyiddin ibn al-Arabi uses metaphysical prose, and Hallaj uses ecstatic lines, ecstatic poetry that vibrates and resonates so strongly. Attar, for example, uses allegories, and Hallaj uses ontological declarations. So some of the unknown dimensions as we're speaking about Hallaj is that Hallaj is really a personality that developed a highly demanded social criticism. He condemned corruption and defended the poor and needy. Hallaj was also a miracle worker. Sources describe healing practices, clairvoyance capabilities, and supernatural insights. He was really not only a poet, not only a Sufi master, teacher. He was a true philosopher. He wrote treatises on divine names, on cosmological issues, on symbolic hermeneutics, and the very nature of divine speech and operating in the world and beyond. So, some of his writings circulated underground for centuries. They were never welcomed in any place of the world. So, this unfortunate fact led to his execution and martyrdom, because Hallaj was flogged, he was mutilated, he was crucified, he was burned, and his ashes thrown into the Tigris River. He refused till his last breath to retract his line, the deepest metaphysical statement in all tradition of Sufism. I am the real, I am the one, I am the truth. Ana Al-Hallaj. Hallaj's death resembles to Socratic martyrdom because he died for truth. Christian mystic martyrdom, Shia narratives of sacrifice, and Buddhist self-immolations because they are incorporating and also practicing a complete ego dissolution processes. And about all this, Mawlana, as the one who really understood Hallaj's point with this short but philosophical deepest line within Sufi tradition on Al-Hallaj, he said that Hallaj did not die. Only his form died. And the truth he spoke cannot die. So Hallaj forces us to confront what is the self? What is God's presence? Can language become divine? Is love a relation or a fusion of being? So taken all into this consideration with this introductory lecture on Mansūr al Hallāj's poetry, ideas, perspectives, and basic claims and lesser known facts. Hallāj's poetry is the real, speaking through the annihilated self. His Sufism is ontological fire, a volcano that even today erupts. His life is an example of the highest human and philosophical courage.